Well, good morning, family and friends. It's Monday of Holy Week, and we want to spend some time this week looking at some passages to bolster our faith and to really focus our hearts on Christ this week. I'm going to be focusing on some various passages from what's referred to as the farewell discourse. These are the words that Jesus gave to the 12 there in the upper room just before he goes to the cross. And there's a lot of rich teaching found in John 13 through John 16 and even into 17 in the high priestly prayer. And I'm just going to pick and choose different passages this week to focus on. And we want to begin with a very well known passage referred to often as the new commandment. And Jesus is talking to the 12 and he tells them, a new command I give you. This is John 13:34 and 35. A new command I give you. Love one another as I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, all men will know you are my disciples if you love one another. Well, of course, the command to love one another was not brand new. In fact, it was part of the um, great commandment. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, love your neighbor as yourself. But what is new that Jesus is adding is this key little phrase, as I have loved you. And of course, he is getting ready to demonstrate the ultimate act of love by going to the cross and dying for the sins of the world. And he is commanding the people, he's telling his disciples what is going to characterize you as you move forward as the new community of Christ um, on the other side of the cross is that you are going to love one another in the same way, with the same sacrificial love as I have loved you with. This is the high call, the radical call to discipleship that is to be characterized by sacrificial love in the lives of Christ's followers. And so I was thinking about this passage, and I want to share with you just a little outline that I came across in a book, The Jesus Creed, which is a book I've been reading by Scott McKnight. It's an older book. And in the introduction, he gives 5 marks of love that are characteristic of the kind of love that God has for us and that we then are to have for one another. And I just want to walk through these characteristics of love. I really thought this was good. First of all, he says that God's love for us and our love for one another needs to be a love of rugged commitment. It's not primarily an emotion or a feeling, something we fall into or fall out of, or something that happens to us outside of our control, but it is a rugged, radical commitment on our part toward another person. It requires, the commitment requires a sacrifice of self on behalf of another person. That may be a sacrifice of time, of money, of power. It may be, bottom line is, Christ on the cross was showing his commitment to us, and we are to, in our love for others, be characterized by a commitment to their best, to what is best for them, and to serve them in that way. Secondly, he says, love that God has for us and that are to have for one another is a love that is passionate. It's not that we are to just be like machine-like and flatline in our commitment to others, but that love is to be full of passion. This week is called the Passion Week, that describes Christ going to the cross for us. And the bottom line is, God is passionately in love with us. He's head over heels in love with his creation. And we are to be full of passion in our commitment to other people. And that is to have a passion element. Thirdly, McKnight says, love is presence. Um, it is coming alongside of other people. Think about the idea of God being with us. It's a major theme of his presence. In the Old Testament, God was with the people in his taking up residence in the temple. He was in their midst. Christmas time, we celebrate Emmanuel. Christ, one of his titles, God with us. Christ came to be God's presence among us and to show us what God is like. And after the cross, God sent his Holy Spirit to dwell in us, so that God is literally with us spiritually and physically every moment of every day. And so love is presence. Number 4, love is advocacy, meaning that God is not just with us, but he is for us. God has our back. The Son lives to intercede for us. And our love for others is to be a love of advocacy. We are to be for others. When we love somebody, they can feel and see that we are for them. We want what is best for them spiritually, and we work toward that end. And then finally, love has direction to it. There's a direction and an end goal of love. And of course, for God and his love for us and his work on our behalf is that he is making us more like Christ. That's what love moves toward. And as we love others, we are loving them in a way to encourage people and to spur one another on towards their growth in being more like Christ, in trusting Christ more, in their character being formed to be the character of Christ. And of course, that results in ultimately in their loving like Christ loves. And so that is the direction of love. And so I want to end today's devotion with just a question for you to ask yourself: who am I loving in these ways, with these characteristics? It's not a feeling primarily. It is a choice that we make to love others. And this passage says this kind of love is what will let the world know, will let others know that we truly are Christ's disciples. So we'll come back tomorrow and look at another passage. Blessings.